And we have so many facets of judging others that I mean, I get it. I love the fact that there was a whole movement. And I'm looking at all my notes because the people who come up with these talk titles and the whole themes, like chef's kiss to this one, because I know we start out talking about being able to live out loud, live happy, and it does support what Ernest Holmes always said, like it should be considered right to live and to enjoy living, to be well, happy, and express freedom, because that is to be in accord with the divine law and wisdom, to be expressing these parts of ourselves, no matter how it looks. That's the peace. That's the peace that is important to hold on to. It's equality for all, justice for all. It's not equality for all, but some more equal than others. Justice for all, but some more justice. We'll look at the other way. Like, no, there's no but. Like Tamara always says, when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, there's no little asterisk at the bottom of freedom and justice for all, except the blah, blah, blah. There's no except. It's everybody. So the fact that there is a set aside month for, get this, here's the long acronym. It's 2SLGBTQIA. 2S means two spirit. I love this because that's what they called it in the indigenous culture. When you're born with both genitalia, we call it hermaphrodite, but the ancients called it two spirit. So two spirit is the 2S. And then LGBTQ, we know lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and then Q could stand for queer, or it could stand for questioning. Hello, questioning, girl. Anyway, and then IA, intersex and asexual. Look how they included everybody in the 2S LGBTQIA. Literally, this is awesome. Now, so this is the month that we celebrate this community, and these this group of people have served as an example of the beauty of what it looks like when we can express ourselves just the way we are. And yes, there was a lot of pushback, but still, this community has persisted in creating all kinds of sacred spaces, sometimes secret spaces, because we all know what better way to get a target on your back than to express yourself and fully in living color, all bold and stuff, unapologetically. What are you doing walking with your back straight and your head up? Don't you know you are shameful? Girl, please. And the category is, would say Billy, that guy Billy from the show. Anyway, drag. Drag is fun. It's exciting to watch. Do you know that this community, not only do they celebrate themselves in color and in music and in dance, and yes, the most fabulous fashion shows. And let me just tell you something. I don't get to show you a lot of footage. Maybe after in the Pearls, we'll pull up some footage and enjoy that while we're not streaming. Because, yeah, the social media watchers tend to watch for copywritten or copyrighted material. But you know what I'm talking about when someone's walking down the runway and they've got on all their outfit and then they drop down in a fabulous way. Girl, the way my knees would not allow me to get back up, that would be very difficult. I'm just like, wow, the acrobatics of it all. Listen, it's wonderful to celebrate and enjoy. And if I can't be in it, then I'm definitely waving a flag on the sidelines like, you go, girl. So, where did all that come from anyway? Now, as I mentioned, the group of people that research all these topics for these talks, they went way back. How far back did they go? Way back. They found, for me, the way that the drag, where did that word come from, that kind of thing. So here we are. I can read to you. Most of us, it says here, I'm just going to read it to you because I cannot. This is great. So most of us reside in cultures where the 2S LGBTQIA people's voices have been erased from history and they continue to be silenced. Living in color is often supported by learning more about the people who paved the way. So, here is the story. Many of us may not know that the original drag queen was a formerly enslaved man named William Dorsey Swan. Swan with two N's. The term queen was inspired by the Queens of Freedom crowned on Emancipation Day celebrations. So, Queens of Freedom were crowned on Emancipation Day, which is the day that they celebrate the freedoms. Now, the first time they held Emancipation Day was in 1866. So the word drag came from grand rag. Grand rag. I guess grag just sounds weird. So drag is what they called it. Now, Swan did not allow a history of enslavement and police raids on the grand rags in Washington, D.C. to hamper his celebrations. The Evening Star reported that the police targeted men in female attire of many colors. Sounds familiar. Sounds Old Testament like, right? The coat of many colors. And they and Swan and his friends continued to party even though the police would target this community. The police kept shutting them down, and Swan and his people continued to party. So the Pride celebrations from all around the world are now an amplification of the refusal to be told to stop being happy, stop celebrating stuff. Y'all need to sit down and hush. And for goodness sakes, you need to tone it down. Put on some beige. I'm sorry, I can't even finish the sentence. I mean, I'm in my closet trying to find beige. I'm like, dude, there's now, admittedly, there's a lot of black because slimming, but also the color. Am I right? So the living color is not only literal, right? The ability to show up in whatever color of skin God put you in, and also whatever appeals to your sense of style, and you will find your community if you just express yourself. In fact, I would venture to say that many of us are lonely because we don't show up as we are. We don't show up authentically. We start to take ourselves, and I'm not going to blame any particular stage in the enculturation of the human being, but it happens, right? And eventually, you might try to be fitting in so much that you shave off some of the fun parts about yourself. And so then it could be that we show up in a group and we don't really know who we are because we're afraid to be who we want to be, but we're also just trying to fit in. And there's no more dry personality than the one that just hopes that you like them. Nothing more dry, nothing more uninteresting than the person who's just trying to fit in. And everybody hurts. I feel like not only is this damaging to the person who is just ignoring all of who they are, who they're meant to be when they show up in the world, they're not only robbing themselves of their own soul's expression, they're also robbing everybody else of a really deep and connected experience with them. Well, they've done so much shellacking and shaving and smoothing of the rough edges, now there's nothing to hold on to. I mean, I'm thinking about Velcro. Again, my brain, it'll jump around, but I'm thinking about Velcro, which what makes Velcro useful is that there's little hooks and then there's a smooth thing. And when you put it together, you've got a connection and you can tear it apart with some force, but it holds on. What makes it happen? The little hooks. What if both sides wanted to be exactly the same? You would never get any contact and it wouldn't stick. And this is what it feels like for a person to show up having shaved off all the edges that would have caused some sort of some kind of tacky surface that we could stick to. Now you're just kind of meh, and we don't even notice when you're here and when you left. And I was reading an article about someone who was like, yeah, so I kind of took the challenge that I read about online. It was like, do your friends like you or are you just meh? Here's an experiment. Don't call anybody. Don't reach out for 30 days. Does your phone ring? Do you get a ping? Or is it silent? And the person's like, dude, it's silent. So then they went to therapy. There's a little article I'm reading just because I'm walking the dog. And in therapy, the therapist said, all right, okay, so poor you, you don't have any friends, you're so alone. Question, tell me about one of your roommates in college. Pick one. Okay, Don. All right, tell me about Don. And then, oh, well, he was in AP chemistry when I was in high school, but then I saw surface level stuff. And the psychologist, the therapist, kind of said, uh-huh, you don't know anything else? Why don't you know? How many brothers? How many sisters? What job did they have? What were their dreams? What were their, you don't know. Interesting. And then the therapist didn't say anything else. And so the person writing the little article was like, and then it hit me. Shout out to the therapist. He thinks it hit him like, I thought of this idea that maybe I've also not been a friend. Maybe I've not been friendly. Maybe I'm not showing who I really am. So nobody has any reason to connect with me. They don't have any, there's no, you could be there, you could be not there. You're not making a difference. Now, that's not the dream we have about the way we want to live our lives. Who says I want to go through the world and cause as little static as possible, disrupt nothing, and silently die alone? Nobody wants that. Yet, every time we look at a social media article or our social media post where we're comparing the way they look outside to the messiness that's inside, and we determine that we're lacking, not that they're lying or they've done a few filters, no. Not that they only take pictures of the perfect side of themselves so they can curate your experience of them. No, no, no. That's not even in the room in terms of possibility. It always is, I come up short when I compare myself. So therefore, I'm not good enough. So therefore, I have to try to be good enough. And it seems like everybody's into this, so I'll do this. Wow, what a way to just not be you. This is the idea that we first get when we come in the traditional path of being raised. But we know that we come into a spiritual community so that we can rise above that traditional mediocrity. And we watch how it's kind of modeled for us. Now, like Tamara said in her reading, now I'm not going to promise you sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns that are what? Barfing sunshine and rainbows? I feel like there's something about a sparkly barf in that conversation. Listen, in that story she read, it's like, I'm not going to promise you that things are going to be peachy keen all the time. That would be strange. It would be a lie. But what I will promise you is that you're going to be so present with your life. And you're going to be so engaged with yourself and as you relate to the world, you can't help but be very interested in other people. You won't be able to help being fascinated by the things that other people might just walk by. You'll be so interested in the possibilities, which turns out are really huge. There's so many possibilities. When we look around, we see like 3% of what's really there. First of all, your brain is doing a lot of work filtering out things that it thinks you're not interested in. So first of all, if we're not seeing what we want, I promise you it's there. We just have to train our brain to expect to see it. And then it will appear as if it came from nowhere. But dude, it's been there the whole time. Come on, anytime somebody buys a new car, which you've never seen that kind of car before, guaranteed you're going to see that car everywhere. They've always been there. It's not that you have never seen it because it's not there. It's you haven't seen it because you didn't look for it. So number one, the life you're living right now is a result of what you've been trained to look for. 3% of what you see, you're seeing it's been filtered. So there's 97% of everything else that your brain is like, yeah, so we don't have processing for that. And besides, we don't want to shock you. So wipe. If you expect it, okay, fine, here it is, but none of that other stuff. And I admit this is good. Please filter. Please filter for me, universe. Because Oh my God. There's so much possibility that you could end up chasing rabbits all around and spending a lot of energy with nothing done. I get it. But if that 3% can be curated by us to where we could decide what we want to experience, then, well, let's go. Let's go. So now that we have the ability to get things in front of us and to like lean into what we do want, we're living on the plane of the Wayans brothers when they created In Living Color. So what they did was they were like, you know what? We're looking at TV right now and it's kind of dry. These people are boring. Let's take our crazy family antics and let's just put it on TV. And so, with the support of a lot of backing producers and stuff, and a couple additional characters like Jim Carrey, come on, Jim Carrey's character with Fire Marshal Bill cracks me up. Probably my favorite sketch that they did was the Two Men on Film, or yeah, I think it was, where they would do the snaps. And they would, so you had Siskel and Ebert back in the time, and they would be thumbs up or thumbs down. I mean, it was fine. But when In Living Color came on, that was fantastic. It was so funny because the way they said, yeah, we like it was just so dramatic. Two snaps in a Z formation. Hilarious. Come on, you had to be there, but it was so much fun. Now, it was super edgy for its time, and absolutely, there are some jokes that would be considered a little like inappropriate in today's time. So a lot of it doesn't age well, but still at the time it was freaking hilarious. These were traditionally oppressed people. David Allen Greer representing certain aspects of society where these aspects traditionally repressed, traditionally just dumped upon, set aside, and ignored. But did these people say, oh, well, so we're not allowed to have fun. Let's go on home. No, they were like, so thank you, police officer. Yeah, see you later. All right. So where were we? Oh yeah, the category is. They kept going. In fact, there are some people, I might be included in this group, where, oh, you tell me I can't do it? Oh, now that's all I'm gonna think about doing. Because what you're not gonna do is tell me what my limitations are. You're not going to tell me that I can't. In fact, I really wish that telling me that I can't did not inspire me so much because then I could be manipulated, right? I could see it now. I remember this happening at work. I remember a project manager coming up to me and saying, oh, this is probably not possible. I'm pretty sure this doesn't. But so we're thinking of adding the functionality where you could just like copy a spreadsheet in and then the system would just figure out where to put the data and then it would just go in the database without us having to do it. But it's probably too hard. Now you know that that's my catnip. I'm like, oh, too hard? Now I will stop at nothing. It will be done by the weekend because it's just now. So this thing can be used against me. I must watch how I let my hooks be used by a faction that is not wanting what's best for me or somehow wanting to take my energy and turn it toward their purposes. I got to be careful. So this part is part of the spiritual growth. And I'm not just saying, okay, throw all caution to the wind, do what you love, and if they tell you you can't do it, then double down. Because anytime you pick a position and you're dug in on that position, you are now a useful idiot. I'm so sorry I said it. Anytime you are absolutely sure about your position, just think right now, social media, think right now, the polarization of politics. Get dug in to some position and sit there. And anytime anyone shows you anything that kind of proves it's not true, now this will happen on either side of the polarized environment we're in right now. Anytime you show them evidence that that flies in the face of their assumptions. They don't believe you. Now you're part of the deep state or whatever they call the other side that's trying, and then they dig in. So your ability to be so driven by some high idea. Watch yourself and don't be so brittly connected to that position. So now you can get hooked by anything. But if they now know how to take your energy, your power, and use it in their service, much like the project manager might have done. Now, in my situation, sure, they came up and said, "Oh, this probably won't work, will it?" Now, chances are I got paid for whatever I was hooked into, right? I did bill them. So it's not like, and I ended up working for free and then they never paid me. I don't know. But still, that's still energy of mine that I could have used to my highest vision for myself. So I cannot get so wrapped up in proving to somebody that I can do it because I might end up doing something I never really wanted to do. It's just I wanted to prove I could, using that energy for what I want to do. And if I don't know what I want to do, then I'm probably not going to be served by asking a lot of people, what do you think I should do? How about you? What do you see for me? Because now I'm going to be leveraged for their highest good. Again, that's not terrible, but what I want for us is a higher vision for each of us. We should be the best advocate for our higher selves. We're here to do something. We got conceived and it was a miracle. I know people, sure, it's just procreation. Did you know that the likelihood of you getting born into a body is similar to the likelihood? Here's how it's been explained to me because I don't do a lot of math. I mean, I'm not stupid, but I don't love math. Listen, what if you had a life raft in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? Wait, which one's bigger? Yeah, Pacific Ocean. Middle of the Pacific Ocean. A little life raft. You know, the red and white ones that you see hanging on the side of boats? One of those. Put it in the middle of the ocean and take a sea turtle, one sea turtle, identify that sea turtle, and then what are the likelihoods of this little turtle going into the beach, California beach, and swimming and not coming up for air until it's right in the middle of that life raft? What's the chances? I can't calculate it. There's actually a number. But the fact that you're here is equivalent to that turtle making its way up through the center of that life raft. I'm trying to say that you're not here because it's not a thing for you to just take for granted. You're here on purpose. You beat out billions and trillions of other possibilities, and now you're you and you're here. Give it a second to connect to the high. Why? Why did I come here? I'm here for a reason. You already know, but sometimes we can't hear our reason because we're too busy trying to prove to other people that we're okay, that we're worthy, that we have